Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu Kekadem. Chadesh, 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 Yameinu Kekadem. Hashiveni ve'ashuva. Hashiveni ve'ashuva. Chadesh, 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 Yameinu Kekadem. Chadesh, 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 Yameinu Kekadem. Hashiveni ve'ashuva. Hashiveni ve'ashuva. Chadesh, 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 Yameinu Kekadem. Chadesh, 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 Yameinu Kekadem. Hashiveni ve'ashuva. Hashiveni ve'ashuva. Chadesh, 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 Yameinu Kekadem. 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 Hashiveni ve'ashuva. Hashiveni ve'ashuva. Welcome, Baruchim Habaim, Baruchot Habaot, Baruchimot Habaimot. Welcome to our Slichot service here at Temple Emanu-El in Haverhill. I am Cantor Vera Brookhuizen, and joined in service leading tonight, though separated by space, is our incredible service leader, Phil Platkow. We are so glad that you are joining us for this special service as we take an opportunity before the high holidays officially begin to steep ourselves in forgiveness, in the process of seeking forgiveness, which is one of the major activities we're asked to engage in as spiritual preparation in the month leading up to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And in Sephardi communities, Slichot would be said every night, except for Shabbos evening. And in Ashkenazi communities, the tradition is usually to do what we are doing now, which is to take the Motzei Shabbos, the last little bit of Shabbat, into Havdalah of the Shabbat preceding the High Holy Days. So here we are with our Selichot liturgy, which our wonderful Zoom technician, Shelley, has just put into the chat so that you can download it if you don't already have a copy of that file. And I hope tonight you feel as if you have partners, you have community partners in this journey of forgiveness, this journey to forgiveness, sometimes a journey through forgiveness, which is part of what we seek and part of what we have the capacity to give as the High Holy Days approach. I'm going to turn it over to Phil to root us in a sense of physical space with our land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Cantor, and good evening to you too. Thank you so much for your leadership. I'm really honored to read this land acknowledgement located on the traditional lands and waterways of the Abenaki, Pennacook, and Wabanaki peoples, past and present. We acknowledge and honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it throughout the generations. And we'll hear more about this concept of guardianship or stewardship a little bit later in our service.
Thank you, Phil. The first piece of liturgy that we are going to do together tonight is to make Havdalah, to acknowledge a separation between Shabbat that has been and this week, this final week before Rosh Hashanah that is coming. And so if you turn in your Slichot booklet to page 4, you'll find the Havdalah service. הנה אל ישועתי אבטח ולא אפחד, כי עוזי וזמרת יחד אדוני, ויהי לי לישועה, ושאבתם מים בששון, ממעייני הישועה. לאדוני הישועה, למך ברכתך סלע. אדוני צבאות עמנו, משגב לנו אלוהי יעקב סלע. אדוני צבאות, אשרי אדם בוטח בך. אדוני הושיע, המלך יעננו, ביום קוראנו. ליהודים הייתה הורה ושמחה וששון ויקר, כן תהיה לנו. כוס ישועות אשא, ובשם אדוני אקרא.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, borei peri hagafen, borei peri hagafen, amen. Yai dai da 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 dai 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 da 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 dai dai. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, borei minei v'samim, borei minei v'samim. Amen. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, borei miorei ha'esh, borei miorei ha'esh. Amen. Yai dai da 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 dai 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 da 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 dai dai. Ya da 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 da. Ya dai da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam המבדיל בין קודש לחול, בין אור לחושך, בין ישראל לימים, בין יום השביעי לששת ימי המעשה. ברוך אתה אדוני, המבדיל בין קודש לחול. אמן. Yay, yay, da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da da da. Shavua tov, 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 Shavua tov. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Agilodi, Bimhera B'yameinu, Yahavo Eleinu, Moshiach ben David, Moshiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagilodi.
Toda Rabah and Shavua Tov. We are in this week. We are keeping the smell, the taste, the brightness of the Shabbat that has just passed, and we are taking those forward as part of our preparation. There is a beautiful song which last year our rabbinic intern Eli Pripas taught us by Bache Levine, and that is the song to which we'll turn now. It's on page 3 of your packets. And it goes in a round. There are 2 parts, so I'm gonna sing it through a whole lot, and as you're learning it, feel free to layer up if you like. All the leaves have fallen down, have fallen down. All the leaves have fallen down, have fallen down. All the leaves have fallen down, have fallen down. All the leaves have fallen down, have fallen down. I am the water, earth, fire, and wind. Dig deep my roots and return again. I am the water, earth, fire, and wind. Return again. I am the water, earth, fire, and wind. Dig me my roots and return again. I am the water, earth, fire, and wind. Return again. I am the water, earth, fire, and wind. Return my roots and return again. I am the water, earth, fire, and wind. Return again. I am the water, earth, fire, and wind. Dig deep my roots and return again. I am the water, earth, fire, and wind. Return again. All the leaves. All the leaves have fallen down, have fallen down. All have fallen down, have fallen down. I am the water, earth, fire, and wind. Dig deep my roots and return again. I am the water, earth, fire, and wind. Return again. I am the water, earth, fire, and wind. Dig deep my roots and return again. I am the water, earth, fire, and wind. Return again. All the leaves have fallen down, have fallen down. All the leaves have fallen down, have fallen down. All the leaves have fallen down, have fallen down. All the leaves have fallen down, have fallen down. In the autumn, we think of the leaves drifting down, and we often think of it as a symbol of death, the death of the old year, the casting off, perhaps, of what is no longer vibrant, what is no longer helping us to feel fully alive. But there's also this sense of return when a leaf falls to the ground and begins the decomposition process, that it is coming back to the earth from which it originally grew. And so to me, there's always a sense of dwelling life, of resting life that happens when leaves fall down, not of life ending, but of life settling. And the psalm for the season of repentance, the psalm for Elul, Psalm 27, also really takes up this vision of sitting, of dwelling, of living, but specifically of sitting in the house of God all the days of our lives. And so we'll join together on that same page, on page 3, with Achat Sha'alti. One thing only I ask of God, that's my request, to dwell or to sit in the house of God all the days of my life, gazing on God's pleasantness and living with God's grace. Achat Sha'alti met Adonai ot havakesh. Achat Sha'alti met Adonai ot havakesh. Shivti beved Adonai kol yemei chayai, lachazot benom benom Adonai ulevaker b'heichalo, lachazot benom benom Adonai ulevaker b'heichalo. Achat Sha'alti met Adonai ot havakesh. Achat Sha'alti met Adonai ot havakesh. Shivti beved Adonai kol yemei chayai, lachazot benom benom Adonai ulevaker b'heichalo, lachazot benom benom Adonai ulevaker b'heichalo. turn now to a reading on page 5, reading The Head of the Year, poem by Marge Piercy. I'm wondering, Pete, is it okay to invite you to unmute and read this? Or
Of course.
give me just one moment. Phil, just checking, is that the right thing to ask?
No,
No?
no,
Okay. Is Andrea there?
no.
Okay. Then Pete, yes, please
Okay.
go ahead and read. Toda.
The moon is dark tonight, a new moon for a new year. It is hollow and hungers to be full. It is the black zero of beginning. Now you must void yourself of injuries, insults, incursions. Go with empty hands to those you have hurt and make amends. It is not too late. It is early and about to grow. Now is the time to do what you know you must and have feared to begin. Your face is dark too as you turn inward to face yourself, the hidden twin of all you must grow to be. Forgive the dead year. Forgive yourself. What will be wants to push through your fingers. The light you seek hides in your belly. The light you crave longs to stream from your eyes. You are the moon that will wax in new goodness.
Beautiful.
Toda rabba. We turn now to page 6 for a Chatzi Kaddish, for separating between preparation and really diving into the Slichot liturgy together. So if you're comfortable, please rise in body or spirit, and please join me on page 6. יתגדל ויתקדש שמך רבה, בהלמד דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון וחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמך רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמך תקודשה בריחו. לאל המין כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בהלמה, ואמרו אמן. Please be seated. We turn again, turning to page 7, and this is a really great kind of back and forth call and response, a call to answer, which we share with one another this night, and we call in the name of many different people and many different things, all of these reasons that we are trying to remind God that God has to answer us, that God has to forgive us. So I'll lead the first 5 verses and invite you all to repeat after me. You'll pick it up, and then Phil's going to lead the next 5. And then as we move through this, if you have a verse that you would like to offer, you're welcome to either put it in the chat and I can sing it, or you can unmute yourself, or you can just go for it if you're in the sanctuary with Phil, and we will respond to you. So the chorus, the repeated words are either Anenu, answer us, Aninu, answer us in feminine God language, and that it'll bounce back and forth between that. Page 7. Anenu Elohei Avraham, Anenu together, Anenu Elohei Avraham. Anenu, Anenu pokei tzara. Anenu, Anenu pokei tzara. Anenu,
yodat yameinu. Aninu, yodat yameinu. Aninu, noten et chayenu. Aninu, noten et chayenu. Aninu, homa kan nafshenu. Aninu, homa kan nafshenu. Aninu, haone beit ratzon. Aninu, haone beit ratzon. Aninu, haone beit tzara. Aninu, haone beit tzara. Aninu.
If anyone has a verse they want to add, any particular figure, biblical or otherwise, who you want to call on the remembrance of, any particular aspect of God that you want to speak to tonight and get us all connecting with, this is the time. Aninu ohevet Rivka. Aninu ohevet Rivka. Aninu.
Anenu, I'm grateful for the land we live on. Anenu, I'm grateful for the land we live on. Anenu.
All right, we'll take it home. First two verses, one more time. Here we go. Anenu Elohei Avraham. Anenu Elohei Avraham. Anenu Pokei Tzara. Anenu Pokei Tzara. Anenu. We are following pieces of a Slichot liturgy that I learned from Rabbi Evan Leader at Hebrew College, Sephardi Slichot liturgy. And we turn now to Adon HaSelichot on page 8 in your handout. And again, this is going through many different attributes and aspects of God, God's different abilities to pardon, to see, to discern, to have compassion. And the refrain on this is Chatanu lefanecha rachem aleinu. This is getting us ready for those big viduis, those big confessionals, which we're going to get in Yom Kippur. And we start them now because why do a good thing only once? And you'll notice that these pieces of liturgy, again, like our liturgy in Yom Kippur, they're all in the we format. It's not a single one of us saying, oh, I messed up, I did wrong, I'm guilty. It is all of us together. We draw strength from knowing that we have company, that we're all human, that God, in the Kotzker Rebbe's words, has enough angels. And we use that imperfection as a source of strength as we call to God for slichot, for forgiveness. So page 8, together with me. Adonai selichot b'chei nevavot kol amukot dover tzedakot רחם עלינו, הדור בנפלאות, ותיק בנחמות, זוכר ברית אבות, חוקר כליות, חטאנו לפניך, רחם עלינו, טוב ומיטיב לבריות, יודע כל נסתרות, כובש עוונות, לובש צדקות, חטאנו לפניך, רחם עלינו, מלא זכיות, נורא תהילות, סולח עוונות, עונה בצרות, חטאנו לפניך, רחם עלינו, פועל ישועות, צופה עתידות, קורא הדורות, רוכב ערבות, שומע תפילות, תמים דעות, חטאנו לפניך, רחם עלינו, אל רחום שמך, אל חנון שמך, אל ערך אפיים שמך, מלא רחמים שמך, בנו נקרא שמך, אדוני הצל למען שמך. Having appealed to God for forgiveness, we turn to acclamation and we describe God sitting on a throne of mercy. El Melech Yoshev al Kisei Rachamim. There are so many places in our liturgy where we talk about God sitting on a high and exalted throne. And in fact, in the beginning of the morning liturgy for Rosh Hashanah and for Yom Kippur, HaMelech Yoshev al Kisei Ram v'Nisa, this high and lofty exalted throne. But tonight in the clinches, we are calling to God who is seated on a throne of Rachamim, a throne of merciful, compassionate love. So we turn together to page 9. This part will flow pretty quickly. So after page 9, we go right into page 10 and the Shalosh Esrei Midot, the 13 attributes of God. At that point, it is traditional to rise in body or in spirit, and you will hear a shofar while we call out those 13 attributes. So we're on page 9. Please join me in El Melech Yoshev. El Melech Yoshev al Kisei Rachamim, hu mitnaheg b'chasidut, mochel avonot amo, ma'avir rishon rishon, marbe mechila lechata'im, uslicha לפושעים, עושה צדקות עם כל בשר ורוח, לא חרתם להם גומל. אל הורתנו לומר מידות 13, זכור לנו היום ברית 13, כמו שהודעת לעניו מקדם, וכן כתוב בתורתך, וירד אדוני בענן, ויתייצב עמו שם, ויקרא בשם אדוני. Please rise in body or spirit. ושם נאמר, ויעבור אדוני על פניו ויקרא,
Adonai, vichanun erech emet nozer Avinake Adonai Adonai El Rachum Vichanun Erech Apayim Virav Chesed V'emet Notzer Chesed Le'alofim Nose Avon V'Pesha V'Chata V'Nakeh Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum Vichanun, Erech Apayim, Virav Chesed Ve'emet, Nozer Chesed Le'alafim, Nose Avon V'Pesha, V'Chata, V'Nakeh.
וסלחת לעווננו וחטאתנו, ונחלת לנו. Please be seated. Tonight is about many different ways to ask for forgiveness, but another important component of our interactions with Teshuvah, with this idea of making reparation, making apology, making restoration, and being forgiven, is giving that forgiveness, being the ones to extend that forgiveness to people who we may be holding grudges against, to wrongs that were done to us. And so we are blessed tonight to hear from Temple member Freddie Hurwitz about her own forgiveness journey, as she calls it. And we are all on some kind of forgiveness journey, whether it is with ourselves, with another person, perhaps with God. And I invite you to listen and to think about how this might resonate, these different steps and these different struggles with you in your own journey this year to that and forgiveness.
My name is Freddie Hurwitz, and Kanta Vera has asked if I would share my forgiveness journey with you. On the off chance that I come to resolution or you come to resolution, I'm happy to do that. Over 9 months, almost a year ago, there was a fracture in my relationship with a family member. I was hurt beyond belief, and I am having a lot of trouble getting over my feeling of betrayal of trust and pain. However, because it is a family member, I need to find a way to forgive, even though there has been no apology, and I don't expect there will be an apology. We have met one another 3 times, and there has been very little conversation about the incident. So it's really on me to find my path toward forgiveness. I have a complete understanding of why forgiveness would help me heal, would allow me to stop thinking about the incident, would allow me not to get hurt by the incident over and over and over again, and would allow me to have better sleep. However, I'm still struggling with how to get to the point where I can forgive her. I can meet with her and share family times with her, but it takes place on a very superficial level, which I'm not used to doing. And the more we gather as a family, the easier it seems for me to forgive her behavior and pretend that everything is okay. And I'm not I'm not sure that that's enough for me, but that's where I am right now. I feel like I can meet her on a very superficial level and pretend that everything is really okay. I throughout the year, almost year, I have thought about the Southern congregation that was able to forgive the person who came into their service, into their church, and killed some of the members of their congregation. And every time I think about that event and their ability to forgive him, I wonder why I'm having a difficult time. I believe their spiritual connection sort of directs them toward forgiveness, and I'm somewhat envious of that. I know Judaism does have directive about, certainly at this time of the high holidays, about repentance and forgiveness. But because there has been no apology, and I don't expect there will be an apology, I think that has made my journey a little bit more complicated. And I continue to struggle with how to get to complete forgiveness. Even though I know it is in my best self-interest, and certainly in the interest of healing and allowing family gatherings to be more pleasant. So I hope sharing with you is somewhat helpful. I actually think it's helpful for me, although I have gone over and over this in my mind more than many times. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Freddie, for sharing that story. I think Freddie speaks to one of the biggest difficulties possible with teshuva is what do you do when there is not teshuva? Um, how do you find yourself able to forgive when there's no acknowledgement of harm, when there's no attempt to make it right? Um, and I thought Freddie spoke so beautifully to the struggles that can bring up for the person who was harmed. Um, and the number of meetings I found significant. Also, Judaism teaches us that if somebody who is trying to make teshuva, trying to do teshuva, meets 3 times with the person whom they've wronged and makes a sincere apology each time, and that apology is not accepted, that then they are considered to have done their best and can kind of put down not certainly their memory of what happened, but can put down making further attempts until they're met with some sort of response. But when teshuva is not being made, if we've been harmed, we're kind of on our own, and we have to figure out for ourselves how and if, as Freddie said, we will be better for putting down that hurt. Thank you, Freddie, for sharing that story. I hope that's helpful for everybody to hear. It's certainly helpful for me to hear as I make my own way through a journey of teshuvah and through slichot.
You know,
Yes.
I certainly appreciate Freddie's sentiments and her recognition of the fact that oftentimes putting our feelings into perspective is maybe the foundation piece to providing forgiveness and acceptance of another's activity. As she said, when she considered that Southern congregation's sense of forgiveness. And when we, of course, as a community and as individuals, we look to God for God's forgiveness for those things that we've done, I think that putting it into perspective helps us to move forward towards that sense of forgiveness. They often say that harboring that anger hurts more the one who harbors it than the one who actually is the offender. I think that it really is at this time that we take just a few extra moments to put things into perspective, as Freddie did, and to accept forgiveness and to give forgiveness when we're wrong and when we wrong others.
Thank you, Phil. That's beautiful. And we're humans. We say God is bochein levavot choker kalayot. God can see into our hearts and our minds. God can plumb the depths of our kidneys. But with one another and for ourselves, the tool we have to make things known, to make a plea for forgiveness known, to make an acknowledgement of wrong known, what we have is our voice. And so right at the heart of the Yom Kippur liturgy and the Slichot liturgy comes Shema Kolenu, to which we turn now on page 11. We say, hear our voice, don't turn away from us, don't abandon us. Help us to return, as we sang with Rabbi Micah Shapiro's words at the beginning of the service. Hashivenu, Hashem elecha v'nashuva, chadeshemenu kekerem. Help us to return to you and we'll come back. Renew our days as of old. Listen to us. We're trying, we're reaching out. So please join me on the refrain and I'll chant the verses in between. Page 11. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, 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 Koleinu. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, 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 Koleinu. Shema Koleinu Adonai Eloheinu Chus v'rachem aleinu v'kabel berachamim uvratzon tefilateinu. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, Shema, Koleinu. Shema, 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 Koleinu. Hashivenu, Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva, Chadesh yameinu, Kadesh Yameinu Kekedem Shema Shema Koleinu Shema Shema Koleinu Shema Shema Koleinu Shema 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 Koleinu אל תשליכנו מלפניך, ורוח קודשך אל תיקח ממנו, אל תיקח ממנו. שמע שמע קולנו, שמע שמע קולנו. Shema Shema Koleinu Shema 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 Koleinu אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה ככלות כוחנו אל תעזבנו שמע שמע קולנו שמע שמע קולנו שמע שמע קולנו Shema 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 Koleinu Al Tazveinu Adonai Eloheinu Al Tirchak Mimenu Shema Shema Koleinu Shema Shema Koleinu Shema Shema Koleinu Shema 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 Koleinu Having called on the divine ear, so to speak, we rise to our feet again in body or spirit. We turn to page 12 and we make together the short vidui, the short confessional. Yai dai 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 ya da da dai 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 ya da da dai 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 Ashamnu
Ashamnu,
Agadnu
Agadnu,
Gazalnu
Anu,
Ibarnu Dofi
Dofi,
Evinu
Evinu,
Irshanu
Irshanu,
Anu
Anu,
Hamasnu
Asnu,
Afalnu Sheker
Sheker, Hatznura, Yizavnu, Hatznu, Radnu, Hatznu, Arnu,
Avinu,
Inu,
Ashanu,
Anu,
Sararnu,
Arnu,
Ishinu Oref.
Inu Ore,
Rashanu,
Rashanu,
Echatnu,
Echatnu,
Yavnu,
Avnu,
Ayinu,
Enu,
Itanu.
Itanu.
סרנו ממצוותיך וממשפטיך הטובים, ולא שבה לנו. ואתה צדיק על כל הבעלינו, כי אמת עשית, ואנחנו הרשענו. Please be seated.
We turn to page 13 in our program. For Shomer Yisrael, this prayer has a special meaning to me. I noticed the root of Shomer, Shin, Mem, Resh, meaning to guard. Remember this concept of stewardship or guardianship from our land acknowledgement. I also remember that that root is found in the word shmirah, the act of watching over the body of someone who's passed away prior to burial. I read Psalms by my mother until my sister and brother could come to town to join us for her funeral. It's a type of honor guard, you might say. My daughter Melanie performed Shmirah in a different sense during her time in the Israel Defense Forces. In that case, Shmirah referred to guard duty at her military base, Sehelim, in the southwestern part of Israel, not far from Gaza. We should act as guardians, looking after the well-being of each other and over our land and our community, just as now we ask God to watch over us, the Jewish people, who sing Shema Yisrael and Kadosh, 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 holy, 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 praising God during the Kedusha. Page 13. Shomer, Shomer Yisrael, Shemor Sherit Yisrael, Shomer, Shomer Yisrael, Shemor Sherit Yisrael, V'yal Yovad, V'yal Yovad Yisrael, V'yal Yovad, V'yal Yovad Yisrael, Haomrim, Haomrim, B'chol Yom Shema Yisrael, Shomer, Shomer Goy Echad, Shemor Sherit Goy Echad, Shomer, Shomer Goy Echad, Shemor Sherit Goy Echad, V'yal Yovad Goy Echad, V'yal Yovad Goy Echad, Omrim, B'chol Yom Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Shomer, Shomer Goy Kadosh, Shemor Sherit Goy Kadosh, Shomer, Shomer Goy Kadosh, Shemor Sherit Goy Kadosh, V'yal Yovad Goy Kadosh, V'yal Yovad Goy Kadosh, Omrim, B'chol Yom Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh.
And again, we turn to El Melech Yoshev, making a refrain of this tonight in our service. We're on page 14. And once again, after this page, when we go on to the Shalosh Esrei Midot, the 13 attributes, I'll invite you to rise in body or in spirit, so that we are on our feet for the affirmation of God's qualities, and we hear them in the sound of the shofar. Top of 14. El מלך יושב על כיסא רחמים, הוא מתנהג בחסידות, מוחל עוונות עמו, מעביר ראשון ראשון, מרבה מחילה לחטאים וסליחה לפושעים, עושה צדקות עם כל בשר ורוח, לא חרתם להם גומל. אל הוריתנו לומר מידות 13, זכור לנו היום ברית 13, כמו שהודעת לעניו מקדם, וכן כתוב בתורתך, וירד אדוני בענן, ויתייצב עמו שם, ויקרא בשם אדוני, ושם נאמר, please rise, ויעבור אדוני על פניו ויקרא.
Adonai. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Noser Chesed Le'alafim, Nosei Avon V'Pesha, V'Chata V'Nakeh, Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Nozer Chesed Le'alafim, Nosei Avon V'Pesha, V'Chata V'Nakeh.
וסלחת לעווננו ולחטאתנו, ונחלת לנו. Please be seated. We have come to nearly the end of our Slichot liturgy tonight. I hope that some of the images, some of the themes, and most of all this practice of coming together to say, here we are in all of our imperfection, with all of the hurts that we carry that we inflicted, and with all the hurts that we carry that others inflicted on us. We are bringing all of that energy to you, God, to you, Hashem. We are lifting up our voice and we are sharing both how we feel and how we aspire to act towards one another in the coming year. And we are immersing in this possibility for forgiveness, even when it seems hardest, even when it's a step by painful step process, and that we know that we are here with one another in it, and we know that God is here with us in it too. Together, we're going to turn to page 16 to conclude our service with a song of the Kolkata Jews, which is where my family comes from. And I hope that we will see you on Erev Rosh Hashanah, 2 Sundays from now, 7 o'clock here in Haverhill. And thank you so much for being part of our Slichot service tonight. Chon Tachon. Chon Tachon al banecha lecha shavim, ufachad lefanecha nitzavim. Yirei Kare uladin ki alken bau nichavi. Zachorti zkor hachamim yom hadin. Merkas uzamim etadin. לירעך ולחושבי שמך המה יושבי על מידי. קרב לי שנת גואל ופדני על מי מנוחות האל תנחני. וזכור לי זכות אשתם על ליבך קח אותם שימני. וזכור לי זכות אשתם על ליבך קח אותם שימני. Like the lovers in Shir HaShirim in A Song of Songs, we end by asking God to place us as a seal on God's heart. And by that same token, I think we pledge to do the same, to say that we will keep our understanding of forgiveness, our understanding of mercy, as a seal on that heart that we knock so hard at throughout our high holy days, saying, open up to new possibilities, open up to better ways of being with one another. And that love, that forgiveness, that strengthens us in that place and in every place we go. Shavua Tov, may you have a sweet, fulfilling, teshuvah facilitating 8 days until we come together again for Erev Rosh Hashanah. This concludes our service. Thank you again to our incredible service leader, Philip Platkow, to our wonderful Zoom tech, Shelley Sadon, and to Don for holding the building space for us and preparing everything so beautifully.
And Mira, for compiling and leading such a beautiful, beautiful service. Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov. We're going to stop streaming. Thanks, Pete.